Happy Valentine's, you guys. I got myself some treats. My daughter got me a treat. We're going to feature it. So I don't know if you know, but I got the woke M&Ms. I'm going to celebrate the woke M&Ms. If you're anti-wokeness, I don't want you to be offended, but part of me does. But yeah, these are the peanut versions of the woke M&Ms. Peanut M&Ms are like the third best M&M. So I'm enjoying these throughout the show. Peanut M&Ms. I didn't get any for Ryan, but he said he's going to rather have a beer, which I kind of understand. At some point in the show, I also got a Valentine for my 5-year-old. It wasn't the whole box. She ate everything but the orange cream, which is, according to this box, the absolute worst flavor in this box. So I'll be eating that. I was going to get a whole giant one of like the random flavors where 30% of them are just gross. And they don't really have that anymore. They're all good. Even the shitty Russell Stover ones. They're all good. So I couldn't do that for you guys tonight. That was going to be the treat. And I couldn't find Peeps flavored Pepsi, which was more of an Easter thing, but I was going to do that anyway. And I also got a cherry. I'm switching to Coke tonight, so because Pepsi hasn't sponsored us yet. So Coke, if you're listening, I'm here for you. M&Ms, if you're listening, I'm ready for those dollars. It could be up to 50 people see this tonight. You could be making money. Anyway, for your viewing pleasure, you don't just get this handsome face in my iSpods Anonymous shirt. You get to see Ryan Marshall's face. Ryan Marshall of Marshall Arachnids, who is revolutionizing. We have a lot of revolutionizers on the show. And Marshall's one of them for tarantulas. And I'm totally behind his movement to keep your tarantulas more naturalistic. So let me just say hi to everybody real quick. We got Beetle, we got Jedi, we got Chris Hoyt, we got Beetle again. Excuse me. Biggs and Russ are here. Holy moly. Somebody wanted to see some stuff about tarantulas. I think I'm going to have Ryan on more often. He looks ready. He was undressing. I missed it.
Oh, yeah, you just missed it.
I was busy trying to read all the guests that are here, all the audience, the members that are here already.
Yeah, I had to bust out my Fungi Perfecti shirt.
Nice.
You guys are into
I didn't know you were into psychedelics and stouts.
I know it's a wild ride around here, but no, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. Paul Stamets. He's big on all things fungi, all things mushroom, not just psychedelics, but he does some amazing research. Yeah, big fan.
I just said because your fungi is psychedelic a little bit.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah.
Or tribal. Yeah. I guess it's more tribal.
Well, what's going on there? But
it's pretty dope. No, I like that guy too. I should try to see if I can get him on here and talk about fungi and myceliums and all of that.
Yeah.
Probably not, but I mean,
he's a busy dude. Well, he is a busy guy too.
He is. He's got a lot going on.
He's saving the world one mushroom at a time. So
it's amazing. It's amazing. That's a topic. I got to find somebody. If you're into mushrooms in a big way, probably Biggs is the closest one I know of. Reach out. I don't know who you are yet because I don't follow those groups, but that would be a great topic.
Big time.
Yeah, mushrooms are kind of like the ultimate cleanup crew.
Yeah, man.
So,
they do a lot of good for us. We don't deserve mushrooms, so that's just how I feel personally.
We kind of don't. I don't think we'd be here without mushrooms. So
no freaking way.
We're already off track, but I did read a study that there is a mushroom that's kind of a mind opener, and some kind of blue mushroom, but it follows like where it's propagated follows like the path of humanity, like where we came from, like where as we traversed across Africa.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so you could they said you could track humanity's progress across Africa by following the mycelium of this mushroom.
Whoa.
Because like we depended on it. Like it's supposedly the theory is that it helped to open our minds and expand our minds enough to basically come online as humans.
So it's a psychoactive mushroom? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like I guess. Yeah, I don't know all the details, but
very interesting. I believe
pretty
it.
Fascinating.
100%. Yeah.
It was in National Geographic, so it has to be true.
Right? Gotta be. Yeah.
Gotta be. So we're here to talk about spiders, specifically tarantulas. It's fair to call them spiders, is it not?
Yeah. I call them spiders. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Good. I had an argument with someone the other day, and I was like, no, I'm pretty sure they're
Well,
spiders.
yeah, it's one of those things like all frogs are frogs, but not all toads are frogs. Toads are frogs, not all frogs are toads, kind of thing. It's like spiders, spiders are tarantulas, but not really. Don't worry about it. Everyone knows what you mean. They're spiders. They're arachnids. You know, comes down to the way
They're arachnids.
the way the chelicerae move, and
I guess that's fair. Yeah,
anyway,
they have different eating process. Yeah, so
different-
it would be like
different
calling
bits.
scorpions spiders, basically.
Yeah, right. Well,
They're arachnids too, aren't they?
yeah,
Or no?
they are arachnids. Yeah, they are specifically arachnids, but no, they wouldn't be spiders. So
No, not even close.
And
They're
nope.
not anywhere near as close as tarantulas are. But I
Right.
wanted to discuss the differences between. I've been seeing a lot of talk about people in a newer groups, to starter groups for tarantulas,
Yeah.
asking about, when am I ready to keep an old world tarantula? I've been keeping one Arizona blonde. Like, am I ready for a giant bird eater or whatever? I may be wrong. Those might both be new world, but
Mhm.
am I ready for whatever this? I don't even know. What are the like scary ones? The ones with the bad attitudes?
Yeah, most of the things from Africa or Asia, kind of have that bad, not a bad rap, but it's definitely over exaggerated. Like their behaviors and what it takes to properly care for them, and what could happen if you don't give them the correct housing, whatever. There's some of it's valid. A lot of it is, and we'll talk more about this in a minute, but a lot of it's kind of over exaggerated online, and so they get what I would consider a bad rap, or not really a fair shake. And I can go into that a little bit, but yeah, we hear that all the time. We'll hear that at shows. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm not quite ready for this species," or "Ooh, that one, I don't want to, I don't want to bring that home, and I don't want to have that around my kids or my pets." And it's just like, they're really all the same. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, and I can elaborate on that further, but they're all fast. You don't want to be bitten by any of them. New worlds have, the urticating hares. The other animals are a little from Africa and Asia are what we would call old worlds, are a little faster, and they have a more potent venom. But really, they're all faster than you. They all have venom. Like it doesn't matter where they're from. You just need to adapt how you approach keeping them, which comes down to what I'm always talking about: natural history. Once you understand the natural history of the animal and how to properly provide them their space, quite frankly, we would work with old worlds here all day over new world animals.
Okay.
Hands down. Yeah, that's how we feel. Not because they're harder or easier. It's just like their behavior is more predictable. You know what I mean? And they, quite frankly, the urticating hares are quite a pain. They're really hard to work with, at least is from our perspective.
Yeah, that if you get hit with those, I've gotten pegged with those when I was trying to rehouse my Arizona.
Yeah.
And she was pretty stressed out. It wasn't my fault necessarily, but I was trying to do it fast because she was under a lot of stress from my aunts had an escape, and they went into her.
Right. I remember you saying that.
At least a bunch of them went into her thing and just were really going at her.
Right.
So it was totally good for her. She was protecting herself, but holy mackerel, I was ready to claw my skin off to get those out of there,
Yeah.
But okay, so attitude wise, they're not like new worlds are not more aggressive or defensive or whatever. I've seen videos of them being real drama queens, but I think maybe there's just not video of the new world tarantulas being, because I imagine it's the same, right? They have the same.
Yeah, so their reaction, their fight or flight is going to be different. They, evolutionarily speaking, the new world animals from South America, Central America, southern part of North America, those animals possess urticating hairs on their abdomen. So their initial response is to flick them, create a cloud of those, or in some cases just drop them. Some of the Avicularian species. There's 7 types of different urticating hairs that the animals possess, and they vary from genus to genus. So when it comes down to the Asian species or the African species, those animals have different selective pressures over the years. And so they've developed faster speed, generally speaking. Again, they're all faster than you, so it doesn't matter. But they're faster. They don't possess the urticating hairs. They have a more potent venom, and they're more prone to rear up at you, give you a threat pose. But in terms of like captive husbandry, that to us is a much more desirable. Like those animals don't want to fight you. They just want to be left alone. And so we always try to tell people, like, aggression is not a thing. The animals are not aggressive. They can be defensive, right? They can react to a stimulus that is unwanted in their environment, such as opening the lid, right? Think about how unnatural it is to open the lid on an animal's environment. Like, that is a huge. The animals are so sensitive. You don't survive this many years without being aware of your surroundings, right? So when you pop the lid open and the air rushes in, the animals don't have anywhere to go or to properly retreat to, like a cork hollow or some sort of burrow, something that they would have access to in nature. They're going to react more defensively, right?
Right.
So it's just, the more you understand where the animal comes from and what it does in nature, the more that behavior makes sense. So most of them, if you just give them somewhere to run to, you don't have those defensive reactions, and all the animals are different. Each individual animal is going to behave differently, but there's so many factors that lead to, like, to me, it's improper housing. That's where all of that defensive, aggressive kind of attitude comes from online. People are seeing those animals react to improper.
I have to go back and look at some of those because I'm seeing it in my head now. I've got a pretty good memory about visual things. So I'm seeing this like I don't know what species it was or whatever, but a big tarantula. And it was reacting pretty dramatically, like going up so high that it would roll on its back and then flip back over and
right.
Go like up again. But I see it on gravel in like a 10-gallon tank or something, but it's on like aquarium gravel basically in the video. So
someone's probably over above it, coming at it potentially,
bringing tongs down with a hornworm or something. That's got to be not the best.
It's just very
situation.
Unnatural,
and they're probably already stressed out from being not kept warm enough, or not having a hide, all of that stuff. So
you're right.
I'm behind that. I'm looking at Margot's thing right now, and I have you on, and I'm like, I need to make her substrate deeper. like it's like 5 inches deep, but I'm like,
which is probably more than fine.
I'm like, it could be like 3 inches deeper. She's pretty cool about using the burrow I made.
Oh, nice.
Excuse me.
So
I made it up against the glass so I can see her in it.
Cool.
Kind of just to keep tabs because I worry she's not a big eater. But she is. I would call her a spider sweetheart. Like, she has calmed a lot down. She comes out now when I come up to the setup. She comes straight up to see me. If I put my hand in, she comes into contact. She just touches me. She's like a weird cat. She just puts her little foot on me and just sits there.
What's going on? Yeah.
Yeah, and I just leave her I just stay there until she's done, and then she just goes and does her thing. But almost every time I come down here, she comes right up to the front, like, "Hey, what's going on?"
Yeah.
So
they're super aware, man. They're aware of everything going on. Just the sound of the vibrations of your voice. I mean, the animals will definitely react to it. And chemically speaking, if you enter the room, you're bringing things with you that undoubtedly the animals, the chemoreceptors on their legs or wherever, undoubtedly they're picking up on all these different things that we're not even aware of. So.
It's so wild, the senses that they have, like looking into them even a little bit, like. How much goes on in those hairs on their legs is just
and when you look at them, you're like, there's nothing going on with that animal, but realistically it's in tune with everything.
They do have that like prehistoric stupid look to them. Like, where you're just like, how are these not all just eaten by birds constantly? And then you go, oh wait, one of them eats birds. Like, so that's part of it. That's probably
birds and other mammals.
I kind of love when things jump up the food chain, like the evolutionary chain.
Like,
I'm gonna eat. Like, seeing a bullfrog eat a bird is like, bravo, good job, bullfrog. Like, I feel bad for the bird a little bit, but it's like, nice job. Or a mantis eat a mouse. You're like,
mantis, or a hummingbird. They'll grab them out of the air.
That's kind of sad. I love a hummingbird, but I get it. Same thing. Same thing. I still need to do something to bring them in here a little bit more. Not in the basement, but in
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
yard. I
yeah.
want more to show up.
Same.
So now I know we're saying they're not aggressive, and I love that because they are. I feel like you're right. It is just defensive.
Yeah,
They don't want to attack something so much bigger than them, like on such a
yeah,
scale. Our
yeah.
hand, our hand is bigger than most
Oh yeah, big time.
tarantulas.
Yeah, they just want to survive, and that's how they get. Who knows how these colors like blues and greens and yellows and all these colors have evolved. There's some speculation, but it's like they're really good at surviving, and they use those either whether it's sexual preference or to deter predators, whatever. They clearly have like ways to go about doing that, And
Yeah.
just because you put it in your box, you are a giant unnatural predator. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
you can fully expect the animals to react defensively when you think about it like that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've actually been reading on animal camouflage lately and the patterning and what it does.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it has something to do with their like main predators, like how they see, how they sense things, that they would, like the metallics and everything in nature. Like, is that something that helps them not be seen by their main predator? Because different animals see things differently. They see different spectrums.
Very good point.
Like zebras running in a group, the stripes on them start to create this optical illusion. So the lion can't see one zebra. So it's not that they're doing that. Not that tarantulas are running across the savannah in groups. But
that'd be cool. That'd be real cool.
But there's so many weird things that animals do and the colors and patterns do.
Yeah.
That you will never know. You know
You're
what
right.
I mean? No one will ever do that study. We still are trying to friggin' catalog tarantulas. Like I just saw a species, a curly hair, just changed its Latin completely. Like it completely changed its Latin name.
Yes.
It's not even close. Like it's two different, a genus and species. Like it's something totally different now.
That's amazing. Yeah, and that's going to keep happening. Yeah, we can expect that to happen every year. They're going to find something new every year, so.
Yeah, and you would think like the curly hair has been in the hobby for decades. And you
Sure.
would think that would be done. And I'm worried about, are they ever going to catalog all of the isopods? No, man.
No,
we can't even get a
way.
distinctive a thing on a curly hair tarantula that's been, I mean, they're everywhere. You can get one everywhere.
Right, yeah, they've been described. They've been around, taxonomically speaking, and in science, they've been around for a very long time, and we're still like, oh, actually, we got that wrong, or they're just doing genetic testing all the time, and that technology is getting better. And there's more pressure now more than ever to go out and like really evaluate what's happening in the natural world, especially in like near the equator and whatnot. So
yeah, while we have it,
well, that's just it. It's like,
well, we have a natural world.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I saw a thing on robot bees and I started to cry a little bit. Yeah, to pollinate flowers. I was like, oh my God, thank you for coming up with this invention when we could have just done more to help bees.
Right. That's another rabbit hole, man. Yeah.
But that's another episode.
Yeah.
But and I mean, who knows what species of tarantula we're losing because of deforestation and whatever, because there are definitely species, right, that are living almost a microhabitat. Like they probably subsist on 100 acres, and that's all they live on.
Oh, even less. I would say there's animals isolated to pockets even less. Like there's an animal that the first tarantula I ever saw in the wild, I don't think is described. In fact, I don't know if anyone has ever gotten a picture of it. Like I don't think it's up in the cloud forest in Casuco in Honduras. It was the first animal I saw. I got in my truck and it was just kind of basking up by a tree, just kind of out walking around. Looked like a little gray. I don't even know what the hell it was. It's just like, that's just an example of like, that's such a very unique environment, and it's different from the bottom of the hill. Like you just go up a hill and the environment up there is so drastically different from the bottom. And like, I bet you that animal is probably isolated to that one park. You know what I mean? I almost guarantee it. So, when you look at it at that scale, that animal's probably been there for 50 million years, but that's just where that's its spot.
Let's hope it stays there. Let's hope it stays there. Yeah, it drives me crazy, the stuff that we lose every year. You can't even keep up with it.
No, you can't.
No, but nobody could keep up with what we lose every year because a lot of it we don't even know.
You're right.
So
Yep.
I love that we're still identifying new species of even like mammals up to now.
Sure.
So
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
definitely.
Um,
Animals are coming back. Animals that we thought were extinct are coming back. You know, it just it happens
what
all
did I
the time.
just see? A frog or something?
An
I just saw
amphibian,
something.
yeah.
That was...
Yeah, there's like 2 amphibians like that have just kind of been resurrected. I don't know what they are, I forget, but yeah.
That's kind of good news since all we saw for a while was like the frog apocalypse.
Yes.
So like they were all mutating and dying off in huge numbers, and
yeah,
because of they're so sensitive to water conditions and water,
that
we kind of messed that up.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
messing
fungus
up the
too. That
water
crazy
and the
fungus.
Yeah, which we are seeing that the animals are evolving resistance to that fungus. So
wait, that was you, right? You were the one that was doing the work in the field to help the frogs.
Just observation. Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
the scientist by any means, but I was there and we were trying to figure out, holy shit, what can we do? You know, and the only thing I knew how to do at the time was breed frogs. So it was like, okay, let's watch the frogs and then like let's try to do that in captivity so like we can save them, you know. And that's just like one isolated population in a very unique environment, but a lot of those montane species are the animals that are being affected by that fungus, you know. So
it's wild.
yeah, anyway.
It's wild. Sorry, I forget stuff that I've talked to with specific people, and I'm like, yeah, Ryan's the guy that did this with the frog fungus.
Yeah.
So thank you. That clicked.
Yeah, good.
Because you've done a lot. So getting into the conversation with you is I always get on these weird tangents because
we do. We kind of go off tangent.
Yeah.
But it's all relevant.
It's
man.
the show. It's
the
show.
Yeah.
So you like back to the topic.
Back to the old world. Okay.
Yeah, the old world stuff.
Old
because
world,
that's
stuff.
what I know less about. So I'm more fascinated by the old world than the new world.
Right. So really, it's kind of fun to think about it this way. So we use these terms old world, new world. Okay. And that's something recent. When you look at what we know about the evolution of the tarantula spider, like it occurred in the Americas back when the continents were still together. Not Pangea, but the one after that. I don't know. It starts with a G. I'm not really sure.
Eden. I believe it was Eden.
Yeah, you're right. It was Eden. So back in the Garden of Eden, the spider originated, and then they moved out. Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, so anyway, the animals originated in the Americas. So like tarantulas, the OGs are from the Americas, Central South America, right?
So that's where the old world.
They are, but in the 1500s, when whoever they were discovered, outside of Asia, that's how they classified it. This is the new world back in Asia, Africa, whatever, old world. So that's where that comes from. But when it comes to the evolution of the animals, realistically, the OGs are in the Americas. And so
that's funny.
They started in America, and then Africa. What's next? And then India, and then there was some divergent evolution there, split into the terrestrial and arboreal species there, and then into Asia. So the animals from Asia are really like that ancestor is the most recent evolutionary process like that to take place.
So they're the new world.
Technically, yeah. I mean, they all come from the same ancient. But you're right. It's just kind of funny that we think of it that way. New world versus old.
So
world.
It's technically reversed.
Yes.
If old world, new world was judged by tarantulas.
Yes. Yeah. And it's cool when you look at the big Goliath bird eaters, like the big Theraphosis species. To me, they look more representative of like the ancient ancestor would, like
prehistoric, like giant dragonfly eating.
Yeah. And that kind of speaks to like the evolution of the 7 different types of urticating hares. Like it's had because lots of things have venom. Okay. Lots of animals, plants have poison venom. So that's a relatively common adaptation, but the urticating hares, not many things have that. There's some caterpillars that have urticating setae. There's some plants have it, like nettles, Not very many animals have that. And so in tarantulas, this one genera of animal, this one taxa has like 7 different types of them. And they
among like hundreds of species, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know the exact amount of species, probably, Yeah.
Dozens. I could comfortably say
Quite
dozens.
quite a
Okay,
few.
all right.
Yeah, and they all, they have different microstructures to them, and you can infer that it could be due to the specific predator, but they're not all used for just like predators. Like they coat their egg sacs in them, and they deter like flies and all sorts of things from getting
Okay.
in their areas, right? So it just goes to speak like the animals in the Americas that have been around for quite a long time, and they've evolved this weird behavior, and it's really cool. It's really neat to think about. So but it's that behavior that personally drives me nuts. I can't stand it. I
The
hate that.
hairs.
Yeah, I don't like
Yeah.
that. I don't like that adaptation. But
Do you find
there-
yours drop them a lot? Are they big
no,
fans of dropping those hairs?
not at all. No,
Okay,
and that's just
okay.
yeah. Like we do see a lot of pictures online of animals that have bald abdomens, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like we know how that's happening. Like
Mhm.
clearly the animals are being disturbed for one reason or another. Something is just like causing them to lose that. Which it really doesn't take much, to be fair. Some of them you can just open the door and that's their initial response before they run away, is to do that. If you open the door a little too quick or something like that, or you bump something. I mean, they can't help it. It's like they don't even think about it. It's they just let it fly. So
Yeah. It's like a
but yeah,
reaction.
yeah, but doing what we do and kind of how we approach it and seeing the things that we've seen for the last 7 years now, it's like, yeah, the animals are being disturbed too frequently, if they're walking around like that. Granted, before they molt, it's possible that, they lose those hairs, or that spot becomes a little more bald. But generally speaking, we still don't see it. So it's just really interesting, not even in our slings that we kind of tote around and feed, and they all have,
Yeah.
because they all
Yeah.
have lots of soil and somewhere to go. I just always go back to that. It's just having somewhere to go. But we still get
What
hairs.
is this question? We got a question I think is good. Someone have their problem with my cats.
Some missing hairs.
Allergies and spiders. I don't know that anyone studied that.
No, it
Stress
could
I
be.
get.
Stress 100%. I mean, 100%.
Like Margot has a bald spot, she has that bald spot on the top of her abdomen. She has that and I know exactly when that happened. So
yeah, and so let me, like, that spot on the abdomen, and it's different from species to species. It looks different. So I'm not referring to because it looks as if like the normal setae isn't growing there, and that's because it's not. We're just talking about what we were talking about was like shaved bald almost. You know what I mean? Like look like something like a cat like took a patch of hair, but it looks different. So the hair patch on the abdomen with the urticating hairs doesn't look like the rest of the abdomen. That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I know when she got stressed and she must have been dropping hairs like crazy, because I know she got me, but
sure.
There's definitely a dime-sized bald spot on the top
yes.
back of the abdomen. So
yeah,
it hasn't gotten worse. So that's good. She's not totally stressed out, but
it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I know
them,
what you're talking about.
But yeah, I mean that's totally normal, natural, and probably in nature they do it frequently too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, geez, just like potentially in like a rainstorm, or a thunderstorm or something like that, like all that constant like stimuli hitting the ground or something like that. That can be a very stressful event for those animals too. So there's lots of reasons why they would do that. Yeah,
you never think about that.
Yeah.
Are the lifespans similar between Old World and New World? I know that some of the females in the New World, like specifically the Arizona blonde is the one that I know about, but can live like 20, 30 years.
Yes.
Is that similar in Old World, or?
In my experience, from what I understand, no. But then again, there are a lot of New World species too that aren't as long-lived as some species in the New World Order. You know what I mean? Okay. Not New World Order, but you know what I'm saying.
We just went into a different political level.
Crazy. You gotta. Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right.
So, yeah, I think that's gonna vary. Look at that on like a genus species level. You know what I mean? Species, individual species.
So it's not like New World, Old World. It's just by species. Doesn't really go from New World to Old World.
You got it. Yeah.
I'm debating just doing half of this and giving the other half to my aunts. See what happens.
Oh, that's interesting.
I give them random stuff all the time, and they either love it or hate it. So cotton candy is one of their favorite things in the world.
Really?
Yeah, well, I mean sugar. It's just sugar. So
Yeah,
and they love those sugars because the
sure.
workers, that's all they eat. So they
Right.
don't eat the protein.
Got it. Okay.
All right, we're gonna do
Yeah,
this.
last time I talked to you, you hadn't. I don't think you had your ants. I think they're still in vials.
Oh no, man.
Yeah, show me.
Can you see?
Oh shit! Yeah, look at that. Look at them go.
This cup they had drained in 2 days.
Really? So
Yeah.
what's that? Is that sugar water, honey? What is that?
It's brown sugar and that raw sugar.
Okay. Yep. Oh, look at
There
that.
we go. There's a few.
Wow.
You can
What
tell
is
where
that?
the heat tape is.
Yeah. What's that media there?
That is black walnut.
Interesting.
I carved all. It took me 4 months.
Wow.
I took a Dremel. Well, 3 Dremels actually, because I burned them out. And then they filled this with dirt, so I can't see in here anymore.
They did that?
Yeah, that wasn't in there. They had cotton balls at the top, and they've used that as building material as well. This camera doesn't want to film them. But this is
Wow,
usually...
look at all that.
Here we go. Here's a bunch of brood in here. There's eggs and larvae in there.
Wow, that is so wild.
And this isn't even the main nest. The main nest is around the corner here. Yeah, they're not in vials anymore. I have 3 new colonies that are in little tubs. But
wow, so you're like nerding out, man. You got ants everywhere.
Yeah, I'm building
Super
these guys
cool.
100-gallon tank right now.
Cool.
Pelletarium. It's going to have newts and fish, and then the top is going to be ants.
No way,
So-
that's really cool.
The challenge will be keeping the ants from gaining access to the newts.
Right.
So we'll see how that goes.
That
But,
is super cool, man. I could get into that. I'm gonna pretend
Yeah.
like I didn't see any of that because I don't.
Well,
have
and then I
time.
built. They had this. They had access to the canopy. This is above
my
my
goodness.
head right
Okay.
here.
Yeah,
You can't really see it. Let me see if I can do it a little better justice.
I can see what's going on there. Yeah.
Yes, they had access to this, and they will again. But yeah, I got a little crazy. It's my first ant colony ever, and I went just balls out
I love it, dude. I do that all
for
the time.
them, and it made so many mistakes. They had so many escapes.
Yeah.
But they're doing fine. So that
Super
orange
cool.
cream thing was disgusting.
Yeah.
So anyway, these are New World ants. They are from the Americas.
Yes.
I don't know if they were originally. They may have been originally invasive, but
Probably.
probably. Yeah, we brought
Yeah,
them over in the
probably.
keels of our boats or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Super
so
cool, man.
so in the Americas we have venomous tarantulas, but not as venomous as the New World or the Old World tend to be.
Correct. Yeah, and I know that is quantified. I know they do quantify the venom of like Indian species and Asian species. They have studied that, and yes, it is indeed a little more potent. However, you don't want to be bitten by any of them. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Those fangs are so intimidating. Like, I imagine a double wasp sting that just takes a little chunk.
Right.
I mean, and they have those. I don't know. Even this little one has like 1/4 inch fangs. You know, like 1/4 inch doesn't seem like a lot till you put it in you.
Yeah. Yeah,
without
man.
consent.
You're right. And
not
the
a good
way
thing.
the way their musculature works, they kind of come in, and then of course the fangs close, right?
They
So
tear it
can-
out. Yeah, they tear.
and pull up, but once they, I
Yep.
mean, there's a lot going on in that motion, and your nerves are just not very far from under the skin, you know. So
Yeah.
that's what I always don't touch them if you can help it. Don't hold them because
I try not to. I make it her choice. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
she comes out and is interested in me, so I put my hand in, and then
Yeah.
she decides. I don't ever. There's one time I grabbed her, and that was, emergency situation.
yeah, of course.
And
We've all
that was
I've
real
been there.
dumb. Yeah,
Yeah.
I expected to be bitten. There was another time where she escaped while I was changing something. I just wasn't really paying attention, and she took the opportunity to bounce out. And I didn't want to panic her, so I let her settle somewhere, and then
Mhm.
used like the cardboard, quiet hand over the top technique, basically. That I
Nice.
don't even know if that's technique, but I made it up. It worked fine, but I didn't want her to run off the shelf and maybe,
Yeah, that's when
get
bad things
injured.
happen for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I reached in the other day and grabbed a male out of a versicolor. I didn't grab him, but
Yeah.
I kind of went over him like that, kind of because she was coming
Yeah.
after him, and I'm like, you got to go, because
Okay. See, it's live.
I bet we've been there. I've been there. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
100%. It's more like a lot of people are like, well, how often do they want to be held? And I'm like, well, never,
Yeah.
or how often can I hold them? It's like, well, I don't want to say to do it. So we just are like, well, think of them like fish. You don't really hold fish. Fish wouldn't
Yeah.
like, But oh yeah, I mean, but it's just hard. It's hard to like communicate that like to a lot of customers like who are new.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you can, but you shouldn't, and I don't. So then we're just like, think of them like fish.
And I think people need to see more content like that, like your content, Tarantula Collective.
Yes.
Who's that one guy, the Black Den or the
Dark Den.
Dark Den.
He's across the way. Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't handle his spiders.
No.
He actually has it looks like he has an active fear of them.
I get it though. Yeah.
He is legitimately afraid of his tarantulas.
Again, man, they're all just so fast. Yeah.
That's why I love him though. Like he's fascinated by them, but
yes,
terrified at the same time. And or it's just utter respect, I guess.
There it is.
Respect,
it's a healthy respect. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a healthy respect.
But I mean, clearly he's been bitten before because that's had to have happened at some point for him to have that level of anxiety almost when he's handling them or filming them or opening the cage even.
Right. Yeah. A little whoopsie here or there. Yeah.
He's like you. Like, what spiders in your collection are going to make a break for it or are going to maybe make a run for it. Which ones you're like, okay, now I'm going to be a little more hands-on with you or a little more prepared.
Yeah, most of them. Yeah, it's usually the ones, and you do know, like if they're just presenting their front legs out from wherever their burrow is, you're not going to run out, right? You're going to run down. But if they, sometimes when they're real hungry or if it's time to start pairing or whatever, they'll come all the way out. And that's when it's like, okay, you're going to come out of the enclosure. Yeah, for sure.
I'll just come back later.
Yeah.
I'll just blow on you and see what happens.
Jeez. Yeah, we usually, and that's it. They're crepuscular, really. So all of our animals are like, I don't want to say trained because they do it in nature, but they come out like right before the sun goes down. That hour or two when the sun starts to set, that's when all the animals come out. So then we can kind of gauge like, okay, who's hungry, who needs to eat, who haven't we seen in a while. It kind of makes it easier to assess when you have so many animals, but not even like if you just have one or two, getting them in that rhythm really helps you, as a keeper. You can see your animal, you kind of know what to expect. So
yeah, you want to see them be able to do those like checkups without disturbing them.
Yeah.
And I feel like with tarantulas that's really hard to do because most of the time they prefer to hide.
Right.
Like what's the Balfouri? Is that the one that's like semi-communal?
Yes.
Yeah. So the nests that they build are essentially like a honeycomb. Like you almost, unless they're doing that corpuscular activity, like you're never going to see them until you feed.
Exactly. Yeah. If they're hungry, they'll come out and show you.
Yeah. Are those guys old or new?
That is an old world species. Yeah. So Socotra Island is off the coast of Yemen. So think of them, kind of like that Indian evolutionary process. They're beautiful though, man. And that island that they're from, if you have not Googled Socotra Island, do it and look at it. It looks like something straight out of Star Wars. Yeah, the trees that grow there are incredibly beautiful. They're bizarre. It looks like an alien planet. That's where those animals are from.
You had me at Star Wars.
Yes, that's what it looks like. Yeah,
that's my Valentine's Day gift.
Perfect.
And it's cheaper than Disney, you guys. And you get to see communal spiders in wild.
Yeah.
Which are, I don't know, thinking about this big, right? Total.
Yeah.
A little smaller, but there's like 30 of them. So
they get fair size. Yeah. And they're beautiful.
Are they? They're like an olive green or something, aren't they? Basically.
No, they're like the carapace. They're cool looking, man. My dog wants to play.
Of course.
So like the femurs are blue. And then in maturity, both genders, not just the males, I know we hear that all the time, both genders can get a royal blue carapace with like a dirty tan abdomen, kind of like it's not drab looking, kind of sandy looking abdomen. That's a stunning spider. I highly recommend that you guys check that out. It's super cool. Their environment's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to go there. Super awesome.
I want to go. I see all these YouTubers going on these crazy trips to like Madagascar and Asia and Africa, and I'm like, oh my god, are you serious? Right, this is so cool. Yeah, I Patreon them just to go again, go somewhere again and film this.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I know it's expensive. Going to those countries, it's like a black hole. Like you just throwing money into the abyss, and it's like it's just what happens. Yeah, and it's usually it's not very safe. Because like where the animals are, where the cool stuff is not a touristy place, you know.
No, it's like civil wars and stuff we don't see on the news here because it would upset us a little bit, you know.
Oh yeah, the whole world's on fire. It's worse in other places, you know. So they don't want to show us that.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah, for sure.
How would we be afraid of stuff here if we knew?
I know
the horrible conditions a lot of the rest of the world is in.
Oh man, we're spoiled.
In the old world.
In the old world, that's right. Yeah.
You see, we brought it around.
I love it. Bring it back. I know we always get off tangent. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
There's just so much to talk about. This is my show, Ryan. I feel like we should talk to each other twice a week, just in person.
I agree. Dude, got to get it out.
I'm down.
To talk about.
Yeah, I'm just fascinated. There's so many differences, and the behaviors are so. Like in my experience, I know you've got way more, but the behaviors are so different because to me, my assumption is it's the evolutionary, what they've had to evolve to, the areas and the conditions and the predators and whatever.
Yeah.
But as a major generalization, there's like a different kind of like vibe
100%
to all of the old world that I've seen than to the new world.
I would agree.
Yeah, because I don't know,
but
and
I don't want people to be discouraged, like because the internet is go figure. They exaggerate everything, and a lot of what you're seeing, these dramatic behaviors, are from animals that aren't being kept correctly, you know, and
or like the keeper, the videographer is fabricating a dramatic response,
or that, So, like, man, I'm telling you, we have more animals than your average keeper. We have more old worlds, more new worlds. I'm telling you right now, I would much rather work with old world species than your cute and cuddly new world species any day. Just
that's so wild. You must really hate the whatever you said, hitters.
No, I do. I do love the avicularias, like the pink toes.
Okay.
I know. I mean, I love the Poecilotheria genus. By far, those are the most beautiful animals, I think, on the face of the earth. But
in particular, the Mexican red knee.
I do like Brachypelma. Okay. They just take forever to grow. They are very, 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 like almost unbelievably slow growers. And now that you mention it, that's another one that people do not understand their habitat, like at all. Yeah, people say, oh, they're an arid species or they live in the desert. It's because they think Mexico. For some reason, people think desert Mexico. You know, it's actually
Mexico's just a huge desert, isn't it? Like a huge scrubland.
Right. The whole thing is wasteland and drugs.
Yeah, that's and poppy fields. That's
right. Right. Don't ever go there. No, it's seriously one of the most beautiful places ever. But anyway, yeah, that species. It's another one that. Is that annoying? I'm like, my dog is.
Okay. I'm like, that dog really loves that toy, whatever it is.
She won't stop. Okay, I'll make her stop. Give me that. Good girl. Stay. Anyway, that's another one I think people need to really look into, Brachypelma genus, because, and also Andrew Smith, who is a documentarian, an arachnologist, that dude makes beautiful documentaries, natural history documentaries. He's got a new one coming out soon about Poecilotheria. But he's been there. He's been to that habitat, and he's got video of it, and he's got photos of it. And if you just ask him, hey, Mr. Andrew Smith, I'm a big fan of yours. Can you just send me a picture of one of your adventures? That dude, he might take a second, but he'll do it because he wants to share with you like what he has seen. So Andrew Smith, everyone, just ask him if he's seen it and if he's got photos or video. He's got all of it, but just ask him for it. And I think you'd be surprised at where Brachypelma live. Just throwing.
I'm going to ask every Andrew Smith I can find.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
or you could just go to lovetarantulas.com, I think. He's I
LoveTarantulas.com.
think it's lovetarantulas.com. Yeah, I think that's
Where's my
it.
marker at now?
Yeah, check that out.
I had a marker here and 4 notes. There it is. Okay, because I'm going to put that link in the description.
Yeah, check him out.
Okay.
He's got good stuff, awesome stuff.
So what kind of environment are we talking about? Because I feel like Mexican red knees are super common in the hobby, and to have them have more information just right here would be good. So is it like forest?
It's forest. Yes. Yep. It's forest.
But like hardwood, not coniferous. Like
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Let's follow up after this. I know we want to do it right now, but I'm gonna butcher it if I talk about it. It's just not what everyone. It's not a desert. It's not that arid environment that everyone's thinking. It's not that at all. It's actually characterized by a lot more rain than what you think. Of course, it goes through its seasonal, dry spouts and whatnot, but
sure,
it's different than what you think for sure.
Okay, all right, guys, don't put them in that cactus setup. They're not gonna,
Right. It's different. But yeah, the New World stuff, man, I still love them. I think they're great. And, when you get into the larger ones, like the Theraphosa and the Pamphobedius, the Xenestus, the animals from Colombia and whatnot, like that, to me, that's like a whole, you can't even call them New World because of the way they behave. Their behavior is like an old world with urticating hairs almost. I mean, they're just wild.
That's like worst combo ever, apparently.
Yeah, but it's cool because they're always out. Their behavior is predictable if you give them their space. But they're like a really tremendous, awesome feeding response. They're big. They're beautiful. They do that thing where they like raise their butt in the air, like this, kind of expose those hairs to the direction of whatever's
That's their
coming.
warning instead of their fangs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is wild because those fangs, you would feel like, okay, cool, I'm good. You can put those away. Back off.
You're right. Yeah, but like the truth is, it's expensive for those animals to bite things and like envenomate things like that is for digestion and that's for eating. Yeah, they have it for defense, but it really is taxing. It's expensive for the animal to make, just for the sake of defense, right? So they don't want to do that. But anyway.
That's like snakes too. Like
exactly,
snakes the same way. Like they I didn't know they could kind of dose it out themselves. They could ration it in a bite.
You think on what they're trying to do? Yeah, man. You think I would know this? Because I've been told this a million times by people who actually are like snake nerds, colleagues and whatnot. There's something to that. It's not quite as accurate as what people say. That's another one I'll have to follow up with you on. I'm not really sure. But yeah,
like I'm not saying the snake is like you're gonna get 2 mLs,
right? No, but control that venom, which I know they can. There's such a thing as dry bite, right? Like they're regulating whether or not they're injecting venom.
Yeah.
So,
or maybe they're just out. We don't know.
Or they're out. Like, they gotta make more. I don't know.
Yeah. Now we get into snake venom. I want someone to do a spider venom video. Like I saw of a snake. There was a snake keeper. I think he's not as well renowned as I thought he was, but he took his venomous snakes and had them bite a chicken breast. And then left it in a Tupperware tub for a week, I think. And it was all kinds of different ones. So you had ones that, like rattlesnakes, the venom breaks down the tissue.
Yeah, that's
and then other spiders do that too.
Hemotoxin. Yep.
Yeah. So he had those, and then he had like the nerve toxin snakes.
Yeah.
And then there was another kind.
There's
a third kind of the venom.
There's concoctions too. There's species that have both.
Oh crap!
So you have myo, you have hemotoxin, you have neurotoxin. I think myotoxin is another one. But yeah, there's some with there's a concoction of all of them. No good.
Yeah, well, the hemotoxin ones, he opened them up like a week later or something, and he was just like, you could tell he was like ready to throw up because just the smell out of that tub, like it was broken down. All broken down and disgusting, and the neurotoxin ones, they were basically the same because there's no nerve tissue really in a chicken breast. But it really did nothing. But the hemotoxin. What is most of the tarantula venom? Is it mostly like a hemotoxin because they're breaking down the tissue?
No, not at all. I think it acts if it's not even a neurotoxin. It's because it's more localized than that. You know, like
Okay.
when people who are bitten by, so like the rule of thumb is like in zoos, if you're bitten by a hemotoxin, you don't want to like tourniquet that bite site, right? Because
Okay.
you want the venom to diffuse throughout the body, right? Neurotoxin's the
Okay.
opposite, right? Now, when people are bitten by the tarantulas, I've never been bitten by something that's like, I've never been envenomated or anything like that. But
Yeah.
when they do, they talk about localized pain, like severe localized pain radiating from the bite source, right? So I don't know exactly what you would classify that as. And plus, like the venom is also specific usually to the prey that they're eating, right? It's like it affects
Okay. Okay.
whatever specific, right? Clearly it has an effect and it's not good.
Yeah.
But it's not fatal like, you know, a lot of the hemotoxic bites would be or neurotoxin bites. So I don't know what it is. I
Okay.
don't want to,
That's
yeah.
fine.
But something like that.
I like that that's not your focus of your area of study.
Yeah,
It's
but
like
now
not.
I'm curious. Everything you say, I'm going to be like, oh, I got to go figure that out. I got to go figure out what that is.
I like
Because
that
I
you're
don't
so
know.
specific. Like, I don't want people to watch this and then be like, Ryan Marshall said this and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, well, they
Um,
do, man. They do.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people, that's the biggest thing we're like, because we're trying to do the YouTube thing. Quite frankly, we don't really have a lot of time because we're
Yeah.
taking people's money and then in turn I have to ship them things and being a 2-man crew,
Yeah.
that's a lot. But and I talked to Richard from the Tarantula Collective about this, and he's
Yeah.
right when he said it. He's like, man, people choose like they will choose to hang on to specific things that you say and like interpret it in a way that like they either works for them or doesn't. And he's like,
Mhm.
it becomes very hard to navigate that, you know. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm always very careful, like to say what I gotta know what I'm saying if I'm gonna say it, you know,
Yeah.
because they do, man. People will hold on to those things, you know.
What's
So
funny, if you're going to start your own channel, I used to try to do that in the beginning of doing this show because I would get so many like private messages from people like, hey,
right,
man, you can't say this on your show because it's absolutely wrong. And you
right,
can't say this because blah, blah, blah. Or I tried this because you said it and it didn't work for me. And I said, well, I think I was pretty clear that this
yeah,
is my results and your mileage may vary. But,
that's exactly right,
and so then for like 2 months, I was like walking on eggshells.
right,
And then I say, this isn't working for me. Whatever. I'm just going to go back to the old format. And
yeah,
I'm not saying you need to do that, but don't like worry about every word you say.
you're
That's my
right.
advice.
That's what
So
Jessica says too. Yeah.
yeah, don't just like go, oh, I gotta say this because you'll freeze up and not give information that people could actually use. You know?
Well, you're right. That's why and that's another reason why I don't like the whole like YouTube editing format. Like like recording, you're like saying a script and then you edit it, and
Yeah.
like I like to have a conversation, like because
Yes.
it just gets so much
Yes.
more across this way, you know.
That's what I liked about your last videos. Do you have any tarantulas nearby?
No, uh, no,
That's
no,
fine.
they're
They
like
saw
this.
ants. You guys saw
Yeah,
ants.
you
Quit
got your
crying.
ants.
Margot's asleep, so I would show Margot off, but she's sleeping right now, so
You know what we
I'm
should
not
do,
gonna
man?
bother her.
When we get in the new space, which is coming along really well, by the way.
Yeah.
Once we get in there this summer, we'll have to do another one, and I'll show you the whole room because we're having a 30 by 30 foot room
We'll do a
built
live tour,
specifically for the ants. Yeah,
basically.
man. Let's do it. We can do it on your show. It'd be
Oh, you
great.
guys.
Yeah, man. It'd be
You heard it
great.
here first. We'll get the Marshall's Arachnids.
Let's do it.
It's basically a web exclusive. That's amazing.
It's gonna be great.
That would be super cool. I want to see your setups, what you have set up for between arboreal and terrestrials.
Oh man.
That's a whole other thing. Like, is the dispersion of, I hope I use that word right, arboreal to terrestrial kind of the same, old world, new world?
Yeah. So the fossorial definitely came first, evolutionarily speaking, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. And then the arboreal nature came second. And I would say, yeah, like, I would say that's pretty even, neck and neck. Yeah, there's something for everyone for sure.
Yeah. Because I mean, they would have forests and dry areas. And
oh yeah, yeah.
There's all those different, and even side by side, like there will be forest floor, and forest tree
100%.
spiders.
Yeah.
So
you have leaf litter. You have
different niches.
anything fossorial. Yeah, it exists in all of those different biotopes for sure. And the animals have definitely adapted to each one of those things. Like even montane environments. I'm so fascinated with the montane environments because it's just so different. And sure as shit, there's spiders there. You know,
What I read
doing
about the mountains now, because of climate change, it getting warmer, is
yes,
there, I think they said it was a really small area, like I think it was 25 to 50 feet. Every 25 or 50 feet, there was basically a biome up
yes,
the mountain.
that is
And
correct.
so they
Yeah.
thought they were losing species. They thought all these species in the mountain were going extinct. They're just moving up
Mm,
to get higher because their biome was changing. So they were moving
right,
up to follow it.
right,
And that seemed fine until you realize the one at the top has nowhere to go. Like,
right,
where do they go? They can't go live in the
exactly.
clouds. I know,
Right.
that would be nice, but
Yeah, I bet they
but they're
wish
all
they
moving
could.
up on the mountain. So even that is like, that's fascinating to me. It's
Same.
cool and sad at the same time, but
Hmm.
it's fascinating that they would just kind of like, oh, it's getting hotter. Let's just do this. Oh, now let's just do this.
Right.
Um,
Everything
and
wants to
that,
survive, man. You know. But
yeah,
does
and that's the whole thing. So
yeah,
I don't know, like how much temperature or barometric pressure difference could there be in 25 to 50 feet
dude, quite a
of a
bit, and
mountain?
I mean that's going to depend on obviously where you're at on the map, but big difference. And it doesn't even have to be an elevation; it can be on a side that doesn't experience the same airflow and sun exposure. That can be in and of
Okay,
itself on the same elevation, a completely different biome with different
that
plants and
makes a lot of
animals.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
because as the day goes by, like it would have totally different
yeah.
shadows and lighting and temperature and everything, wind.
Yeah, all that. Like there's definitely, and I've seen it coming up mountains. Like there's
Yeah,
plants that grow on one small section that
yeah.
don't grow over here, and obviously animals are adapting to that specific spot. You know, so yeah, super cool, super,
I feel
and tarantulas do it too. You know,
See, I'd have to go on one of those jungle trips. I'd have to find a way to leave my wife at home because I would be like on my hands and knees going through the jungle, like trying to
yeah,
see every square inch of
oh
what's
yeah,
going on and then try to get up in the trees. And there'd be just too much. It'd be sensory overload the first 2 days.
yes, it's like a psychedelic experience. It really is. I mean,
It
it's
would
just
be.
like there's just so much going on, and like being from where we're from, like there's a lot to see, but not like that. There's so much life competing for
Yeah.
energy in those places that it's just teeming. It's everywhere, and we're not used to seeing it like that. You know.
Yeah. But what's kind of funny is if you get into the North Woods or somewhere that's relatively untouched here, or a
Yes.
lake, or even a lake, like a nice lake, um, it's the same. It's the same. We're just used to our species. So I
Yes.
think we don't
Yeah.
see the novelty of a bluegill anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Oh,
just
I
like,
do.
it's a
Yeah.
shitty bluegill. Like who cares? Or that's a 40-pound goldfish someone released 20 years ago. Like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I just saw that 65-pounder that they pulled out of
Seriously?
they pulled it out of some like dam or something at the bottom of a dam. Somebody released this goldfish.
Oh
I
my
forget its
god.
name was.
Was it a
Does anybody
carp?
know? There's like 4 people here watching right now. So but no, it was a goldfish. It was like bright orange, but it looked mutated. It was just
Hmm.
not goldfish shaped anymore. Really, it had like jowls. I don't know how to explain it. It
Cool.
was bizarre. Because I
I'll have
can't
to look
imagine
at
any
it.
of those like rotund goldfish, like the freak goldfish, would survive.
Yeah. No, they're
Um,
like yeah.
they would just get eaten right away. Like they can't
Yes.
do anything. I hate goldfish, like in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like I can't stand them.
Look
So
at them in their stupid faces.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
but
kind of
somebody
thing.
took hundreds or thousands of years to breed these stupid, like
I know.
they wouldn't exist,
Right.
and why do they exist? They're freaks.
Yeah. I know. Like Jessica loves dogs, and I like her dogs. But if it were up to me, I wouldn't have a dog. And so, like
Okay,
my mom, she likes the little white ones, and that's
okay,
I have to draw the line there. And that's one of those things I try explaining to her. I'm like, that shouldn't exist. Like, there's a reason why it's such a horrible animal for you, and it doesn't behave, and and it just
yeah,
like it's just rotten, and it's just like it just when you get upset at it, just remember we made it. It's like
yeah,
it's not a
yeah.
natural thing. So just remember that.
I
Try to
mean,
remember
what
the
do we
little
have?
one thing.
Canines down to the size of a fennec fox. There's
Oh yeah,
canines that small, but
yeah.
yeah, like a Maltese or something.
Well,
No,
the
no.
further we get away from a wolf, I'm just like I just don't get it. Like the further away we get, I'm like I don't know.
Well, I want
But
to know who started that. We have what, like 35,000 breeds of dogs now
I
or
don't
something?
even know. Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
And Beetle, you are right. They do and can exist.
Yes, and
We
people
have the
love them.
technology, but should
Yep.
we? Should we
Hey,
use it?
that's another thing we should talk about too. Is bringing back the mammoths. That's coming in
Let's
hot,
do
man.
it. That's
Th-
old world.
They are doing it. That is
They are
happening.
doing it.
Yeah, and they're reintroducing them into a specific park. I forget the exact location, but yeah, man, they are green light, bringing back
They
the mammoth.
decided they're going to do it. So now are they going to put the embryos in elephants?
So they are
Or how are they
using
rolling?
DNA from I forget which animal, but like they have DNA. Like it's
Yeah.
almost it's complete from the mammoth, but they are introducing. I think it's the Asian elephant, whichever,
Okay.
because Asian Africa they're different. I think it's the Asian elephant.
The
I'm not
Africans
sure.
are bigger,
Yeah, and
but
they
the
got the
Asians, I
bigger
think,
ears
are
and
closer
whatnot.
related to the mammoth.
I think so whichever one is more closely
So,
related, they're using that DNA to kind of complete it. But yeah, man,
but are
that's
they going to use
happening.
the Asians as the mother? Like that's my question. Like
Oh,
originally,
that I don't know. That
curious.
information is available. I'm curious too. That I mean, I would pay whatever it took to go see the mammoth for sure.
No doubt, right? And
Yeah,
then I want the dodo back because I think they'd make great pets.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. God damn, that'd be cool.
Like bring
That'd
them
be
back and
really
market
cool.
them. Like you want to make the money, right? So
Well, right.
sell a
Yeah,
dodo to somebody. Like who knows? I
dude,
need to do more
I don't.
research, find out like what they ate and what kind of
Something that doesn't exist anymore, probably. But
probably.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
According to Ice Age, it was watermelons. I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
right. I did see that. That could be.
oh, it is the Asian elephant. You were right. Beetle says it was. He just saw
Oh,
something or read something on it.
good catch. Yeah,
Beetle's a
cool.
smart cookie.
I like that
Uh,
guy.
I can't get over. I can't get over all this stuff that they're doing now. Or I mean, it's been in the works for a long time. That
They've been
mammoth
at it
thing
for
has
many
been.
years. Yeah.
They've been talking about that forever. But I'm glad that they got that greenlit. That's wild.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. It's super cool. I will have to figure out where the location is because they want to see what happens. They want to reintroduce it, and I think they're doing
Yeah.
like it's kind of like a land management effort, like knowing how
Okay.
the mastodons would behave, knowing what we do know, and like what they did for the soil and what they did for the environment. So like it's trying to like
Yeah.
rehabilitate a place that's kind of slipping away. So like
Okay.
let's roll the dice and put them here and see what happens and monitor that relationship between the environment. And then if it works. Oh, I thought that. I thought they are bringing the dodos back.
Shit.
Yeah, I thought that too. I wasn't gonna
You-
say it, but
So this is cool, but I'm always the pessimist. So this seems like baby steps to Jurassic Park.
see, yeah, you're right.
Like somebody was like, the Jurassic Park guy was onto something, but I think he went too big. He
Yeah,
went too hard, too fast. Like, let's bring back the stuff that can murder you and your family in an instant.
yeah,
Instead, let's bring back the furry ones first. See how
right.
that goes,
Let's see how that goes.
and then go back. So
Yeah.
hopefully, in my lifetime, I'll get to see a T-Rex eat a goat live. But
Oh, dude.
um,
Just yeah, I'd be happy with the mammoth, but yeah, a
yeah,
dinosaur would be pretty damn cool.
like put them in zoos. Like we just created them. No, I think that would be really sad
That
to
would
bring
be
them back, bring them back
horrendous.
from extinction, and
Yeah,
then put them in zoos.
I know.
Um,
Yeah, I'm not anti-zoo, obviously, but that's not where that's not where anything really belongs. So let's not bring it back from the dead and put it back in a box.
yeah, exactly.
Let's not do that.
Let's do all this to put it on display.
Yeah.
Like do tours or something or safari, but
Yeah.
they're in a park, right? They're going to be in a
Yep.
protected area,
Mm-hmm.
so that'd be
Yep.
so wild.
Dude, I can't
That'd be
wait.
so wild until you see Elon Musk ride one on
Yeah,
his
we'll
Twitter
see.
feed.
Yeah.
But
That. Hey, man, I don't know. It wouldn't be the worst thing you could do.
no, I'd see him put his money into that. That would be dope.
Yeah.
CRISPR.
Yeah. All that's coming down the pipe.
CRISPR's a little terrifying.
Yeah. Now we're getting over my head. That
Oh, they're going to
stuff,
bring the
I don't know.
thylacine. They
Yeah,
look like
I
they're
heard
going to bring
about
that back.
the Okay.
Good.
Yeah. Because that's recent. Like that animal went extinct like
Like in my,
yesterday.
but yeah, basically like my dad's lifetime, I think.
Yeah.
Like it was like the 50s or something.
Yeah. So that's great. Hey man, I think we should do it because well, hey, it's awesome. But
Yeah.
I think there's so many scientists that have I've sat in lectures and listened to them talk about like bringing megafauna back to where they used to be in the Americas and like what that would do for the environment and like the balance and whatnot. Because we've offset it with like monocrop agriculture and, you know, all the grazing livestock and all everything is so out of whack. And it's like there's so many people that have really proposed all of these solutions, which is like bring back the megafauna. You know, like obviously people are, you have to take into account population of people, but they're saying like that would really help. That would fix it. That would fix a lot of
got into
problems.
some guy's crops and game over.
Yeah, game over. That's when the saber tooth comes back, and I don't know, but it's exciting, man. Super exciting stuff.
That would be really cool. I'd like to see that even in a like contained, like safari style thing, like just as an experiment, just to see.
Yeah.
That went like those crazy elephant precursors with those big paddle mouths.
Yeah.
Can't think of their name off the top of my head, but that's one of the ones that I've always been fascinated by.
Sure.
Because then that turned into a trunk, basically.
Right.
That wild face.
Isn't that amazing?
I think it's so wild. That would be so cool. Yeah. My brain is going through all these, recently, like even more recent species that have gone extinct, like the rhino. What was the rhino? The Javan rhino?
Yeah, so there's a couple species of rhino that have went down, I think, recently. Yeah.
And they're taking zygotes and putting them in other rhinos to, I think they're already doing that.
Are they?
To artificial inseminating something. Because there's like one left of
right.
The white rhinos, maybe? There's like one left or two females or something. Northern white rhino. Okay. Look at this, man. I've got a great audience.
I was going to say, you guys are on it. I love this.
There's like 5 people on.
That's what I need. I need people. Because I want to be able to say what I want to say and then just have someone who's cool just like fact check it real quick. I feel like actually this. It's okay, though. It's okay, though. We're not going to hold it against you.
You need Beetle and Vic.
Yeah, man.
I got to find a way. I can't remember how to make someone a mod. I got to make Beetle a mod.
Yeah, for sure. Pay that guy.
He's here every week from start to finish. And
I love that.
He's always doing my web research for me live. He's basically a producer.
Yeah, that's great. You need that,
thank you, Beetle. Know that you're appreciated.
Yeah, for real, because there's so many times where I'm just like, the thing.
The thing? Yeah, and you don't have, we have the internet in front of us, but we're busy.
Yeah. Anyway.
Now, are there species of tarantula right now that are in the hobby that are only alive in the hobby? Like they're not in the wild anymore that you know of?
Let me think for a second because I don't.
I'm positive there are. I'm 100% positive there are.
Yeah. I know there's amphibians in the hobby that do not exist in the wild. Jess is, I can hear Jess screaming at me right now.
Yeah.
There's probably something.
While you're thinking about that, FTech had a point about having one specimen of the species not viable, and that's kind of true. But they found out cheetahs doing all these genetic studies you're talking about. All cheetahs in Africa basically are virtually identical genetically. Like they are basically clones.
I worked with cats at the Omaha Zoo that were clones. They're sisters, genetic clones of one another. The African wildcat.
So they didn't stop at that sheep. They kept going with the clones.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're genetic clones. Normal African cat, as normal as an African cat can be in a box,
Well, I feel like too with one, if you had just the one or two specimens, the one line, they could mutate it enough now or add enough.
Well, that's just it. You can literally edit genes now. They could tweak. I'm talking about things I have. Yeah, I don't know, but I think they can.
We're not the guys doing it. Just for the record, we're just two guys that watch documentaries, and have more than average interest in this stuff. So,
well, it's all relative, right? Like if they have that technology, it's coming down the pipe, and it's going to affect the natural world, like in one way or another that we're a part of. You should kind of care what the mad scientists behind the curtain are up to as much as we are able to know and understand, right?
I want to understand so much.
I
want to understand what the mad scientists are doing so much. I'm totally on board.
I know, because I don't know. Knowing myself, I'd be like, we should just. It's one of those things. Like, do you push the button or not? Like, if you're a mad scientist, I imagine if I was in that position, I'd be like, we're gonna push the button and see what happens.
Right?
You know, like I don't know. I would. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. I have to ask Jess if there's something in the hobby that doesn't exist in nature anymore. Celadonia, that little Brazilian jewel species.
That's
Really
such a
pretty.
beautiful tarantula. Oh my god.
Yeah, they're little shits, by the way. Like I get more threat postures from those little spiders than any other species we work with.
And their colors must be like a warning because they're not just done with you at that warning. They're like, I'll bite the shit out of you.
Yeah, I mean, granted, they are that big, but
Okay.
their colors
Are they
amazing.
that small?
They're really small, man. I mean,
Nobody puts anything near these things. If you do videos and do pictures for your website,
yeah,
please put something for
like a quarter
reference next to them. Yeah, like a quarter, something that's always the same thing.
Yeah,
your class ring, whatever
that's a good
dumb
idea.
thing you have.
Okay.
Because I would never know that. Like they take the pictures and they're beautiful photos, and it's a beautiful spider. But now to know that they're like this big or smaller,
yeah, they are. They're
like
literally that
inch
big.
and a half, maybe.
Yeah,
2 inches.
And you never see them. You know,
Yeah.
they're a trapdoor species. They're an arboreal trapdoor species. So like those animals, you just don't see them. You see males when they mature, because they're always out looking for mates.
So they're even trapdoors. You're not even going to see them in your collection if you're keeping them right.
You don't see them. Yeah, if you're keeping them right. Very good point. If you're keeping them right, you should never see them. But I don't know. We had them for a couple of years. I bought 4 animals, and they ended up all being male, which is super sus. Well, whatever. I got all males, and I couldn't do anything with them. But we raised them for that long. We probably saw them 3 times in 2 years, until they all matured, and then it was like, oh. Okay.
Now do you see them do their trapdoor thing where they come flying out and grab something and then dive back in?
Yes, and that is pretty cool.
That's such a cool behavior.
Yeah. And their coloration, I wanted to say this too real quick. When you look at where they're from, it's like it's amazing. They're the most brightly colored, vivid thing in their environment. Like their environment looks drab almost, even though it is coastline and there's an ocean to the left. It's like,
so it's not just like some place with orchids and lilies everywhere. There's beautiful flowers.
No.
And it's bright everywhere. Okay, they're the brightest thing.
They are.
In the whole area. Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, even, you probably never see them. But people, the wild photos are of males, like trying to find mates, and just against the background of their environment. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Wild. Yeah. Pretty cool.
The ones I'm seeing, I think, are from keepers. I don't think they're wild photos. I think it's probably from keepers because it's just on a black, like velvet background. It's lit, studio lit. Like
there is a YouTube channel, Bird Spider CH is the YouTuber. Yeah, he does a lot of those in situ videos. He's got video of their habitat, but of course, like all of the trees are like being cut down. That's what I was getting at. Like that animal will be extinct in nature very soon, for sure.
Okay, that's how we got onto it, right?
Yeah.
How gorgeous they are.
I know. That one will be gone. Yeah, for sure.
And it's a species they'll never see. There was one I was just reading a study on another trapdoor species. I think it's in Mexico that they did a study. It was the oldest known tarantula, and it was from the wild. They did a study, and they would mark the dens,
Oh,
and the females would keep the den, right? The females would keep the den through their whole life. And so they would have all these different markings, and they'd come check up on them. Like, I don't know, it was like once a year or something. Sure. They would come check on each spider to see how they were doing. And this one was like 38 years old or something. It was ridiculous. Like the age of this thing was, I want to say 38, but now my brain is like, no, it was like 50. But I want to say 38. I'm confident
something ridiculous.
38.
Yeah.
But yeah, she got predated. She didn't just die. There was evidence she got dug out and eaten.
Gotcha.
So, I guess she could have died and then they got her. But for a spider in the wild to live there, but they said her territory, that species is getting wiped out for grazing land again, So,
seems to be the story these days. Yeah.
I've been trying to really get into that Beyond Meat, and it's rough. It's rough because it's not.
Dude, I don't think that's as good as they claim it is. I'm sure. I'm not talking about taste. I'm talking about in terms of health for you, and B, like
Okay.
its environmental impact. I'm not going to count. I'm just going to say, because I'm not 100% confident, but from what I've heard, it's a trick. Like it's
Okay.
just as environmentally destructive. We'll talk about it later. But I just want to say that out loud because I tried it too. And then there was this veterinarian at the zoo that like just totally blew my mind and like schooled me on it.
Really?
You know, she's like, I'm gonna stop you right there, and she like
So,
told
like
me all
the-
about the monocrop agriculture and like all this stuff that goes into like making that one burger and like the cost, not money, but the
Yeah.
cost of making that Beyond Meat stuff. She's like, it's terrible, it's horrendous.
That's
It's
wild.
not, yeah. So I don't know. I think I did have one. I think it was really good. And I think that I was like on a kick on it. I was like, why is everyone shitting on this? Like it's quite, you know, it's better than what I thought it was gonna be. It's not like vegan cheese or anything, you know, it's like really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I don't know, she put me in my place about that.
No,
Like,
that's cool. I want to read that study or read something about that because
I'll get it to you. Yeah, there's
I
something
want to
to
see
it.
what the difference is because the cost of, you know, cows on the earth is
Right.
unbelievable. Like the cost is not worth me having burgers on tap.
Right.
You know,
I know, man. I'm in the same boat. Like I love burgers. I love brisket. I love
I do.
steak. It's like the best fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
But
we've been dropping F-bombs on this show for the weirdest stuff lately.
I'm
and
sorry.
to drop them for burgers, bravo. No, don't apologize. It's fine.
I love it. I love burgers, man. That's so good. But you're right. It's like
Oh,
we
is it
gotta
my internet.
turn it down. Might be mine.
No, it's go nuts. It's fine.
Okay.
We swear on the show all the time.
Okay. Gotta let it out.
Yeah. I'm the one that had to like tone myself down. I don't ever try to tone the guest down. So you're gonna say you love a fucking burger.
Dude,
Just love a fucking burger, man. It's good times.
It's the best. But
yeah, I did find out we have a 9-year-old viewer, Hosea Veland's daughter, watches every week. And he was like,
so
nah,
cute.
she knows. She knows people
okay.
swear. She knows it's a bad word. She's not allowed to say it. I was like, okay, cool, man.
Good
Because I was like,
parent
I gotta
right
go back and edit my video.
right. Oh, Jose's cool. Good parenting.
Yeah.
Jose.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Ted Nugent schooled Don Gallagher on the vegan burger.
Yeah, man. It's not like there's a give and take for everything, you know. And I think like a lot of vegetarians, vegans, whatnot, they gotta understand that too, you know.
Yeah, and I think some of it gets blown up, but some of it there are other alternatives. Like when I was a chef, I modeled a vegan burger, but I didn't fall into that trap of trying to make it look like and taste like a burger.
Yeah.
It was a vegan patty sandwich. I called it a burger because it was shaped like a burger and had kind of
burger
like
patty.
consistency.
Yeah.
But it was in no way trying to be a hamburger. So I got a fungus gnat infestation again.
I know. It's funny, man. I saw that and I was like, wait, is that are they in front of me too? Like,
yeah.
We're just so used to it. And I just like, I went to go do the same thing.
We're swatting at the same fly.
I know. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it's a wild thing. But if you could do it with existing, and it was delicious, you didn't have to be vegan to enjoy this sandwich. But it wasn't trying to be a burger. It was just a different sandwich.
Yeah.
And I swear people wouldn't order it because they saw vegan on there and we're like, oh, I don't want this. But anyone who tried it was like, this is
Was
really
it like a
good.
black bean or quinoa thing?
No, it was it was quinoa and like falafel mix, essentially.
Nice.
It was
That's
essentially
good stuff,
a falafel with quinoa added.
Awesome.
And then just pan fried. So
Nice.
With this Brussels sprout red onion slaw on top.
Nice.
And it
delicious.
was dope. A lot of great flavors, a lot of great textures.
Yeah.
Burgers are. We did have the best hamburger I've ever eaten at that restaurant as well.
Yeah.
And I compare every other hamburger to it, and I stopped buying hamburgers at other restaurants because I'm always like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, you got.
I mean, it'll do. Yeah,
Right.
it'll do, but it's not the cottage burger. It's not Reed's burger.
Right.
Reed, if you watch this later, shout out. That burger tried to save that restaurant, honestly.
Yeah.
Came close.
I bet.
Meanwhile, we're talking. What are we talking about? Mammoths, burgers,
Mammoths and burgers, you know, all the good
vegan
stuff,
meats.
man. These are important things, man. I don't know.
These are big topics.
Yeah.
These are all new world topics.
We can bring it. Yeah. And we can bring it back to spiders. So I guess
we'll try.
you know,
Do we have more? Is there more you wanted to cover tonight
No.
on these guys?
I think the biggest thing is just do your research and look at. I say this, I'm a broken record. Look at where the animal comes from, and then watch videos and like be critical of what you're seeing, be critical of the interaction of the keeper and the animal. Like just always be judge what I'm saying. Yeah, be critical of what I'm saying, be critical of what everyone says. They're awesome. I'm telling you, we work with, I tell Jess not to tell me anymore how many animals we have, because I don't want to know.
Is she really in charge? Are you just like the face?
Fuck yeah, she's in charge. Yeah,
all right.
I just grind. The orders come in, I pack the orders and they go out, and then I unfortunately somehow try to make some sound financial decisions, but I'm not a businessman, so I just.
You've got some kind of lizard on your head. What is this? Another business?
Let's talk about this. Yeah, this is Gecko Junkie. Is my good friend Tristan. It's his business. Tristan is the man. So we met him. Our first show ever was like at an NARBC, one of the big national shows.
Yeah,
and he was across from us. And he had this huge, elaborate like store at the expo that he sets up with all his products, and he's got a huge crew. And he's always blasting music. And I got there and I couldn't even hear myself think. So I went up to him like, "Hey man, I love Metallica, but you got to turn that down." Like, like I can't think. And
my spiders are flicking hairs. I'm freaking out.
Yeah, it was like nuts. And I was like, "Hey man, you got to quit that." And he's like, "Oh, no problem, man." But then I think he kind of felt a little guilty. So he started coming over. He's like, "Dude, who are you guys?" You know, and he introduced himself, and he was like, "Your stuff looks really good." And like, he just started giving these really constructive like feedback points to us, and was like really critical of what we're doing. Anyway, the dude's awesome. And like, I eventually was just like, I'm going to model my business after everything that he does, because he's like super successful. And he just started like a couple years ago. And everything that he does is just like really awesome. And he's all about customer engagement and like education and with the geckos, you know, which that's his thing. But his model and the way he approaches things is just so awesome. And so we will learn a lot. Like the next day, I literally left that show and I went and bought a brand new trailer, because he's like, "Dude, you got to get your stuff on racks. It's got to be on wheels. You got to wrap it. You got to go in and out." He's like, "I have 30 times the amount of things that you do." And he's like, "I'm done in half the time you are." He's like, it's all about efficiency. And like, anyway, I just super respect the dude. He's awesome. And he's super nice. And he's out of Tennessee. So anyway, I was like, "Hey, you got a purple hat. I'm going to buy that hat. I'm going to support your stuff." You know,
that's awesome.
Gotta give it back.
Gecko Junkie.
Gecko Junkie. Yeah, he's great, man. He sells a lot of dry goods, a lot of animals.
Does he do lychees? Do you know?
I've seen lychees. I don't know if they're his. So like, he does this cool thing where like, if you're a responsible dude and you breed your own stuff, it's like he's like the hub. So like everything kind of comes to his table. So I don't know what he does. I just know like geckos are a thing. So, because there's all sorts of boas and pythons and all sorts of stuff that like is really healthy, all captive bred, all on his stuff. Yeah. And I know like most of it's not his, right? You know, so I don't know. Check him out, Gecko Junkie.
That's kind of cool. Everything's on consignment at his tables.
Yeah, and it's great.
That's funny. Like a consignment situation.
Yeah. So anyway, Gecko Junkie.
Now we're
so
back
cool,
to
man.
Old world
geckos, man. Yeah. That stuff, all the Arachnids and like all that stuff from like New Caledonia is super cool, like super primitive looking. I think all that stuff is really neat. I like it.
Dinosaurs, basically.
Yes.
So
they look like dinosaurs. Like they've got like one brain cell. It's like just survive, you know, blend in. Super cool.
Well, like on your discussion, we were talking about this just the other night. I think a group of us were talking about it. But so you have the tarantulas, and you have yours set up to day and night cycle. So they go through the lighting, and then it starts to get dimmer, it starts to get brighter. And they enjoy the light. They bask. They come out. So the keeping of the Arachnids, the New Caledonian lizards, the geckos, is that they don't need special lighting. Right. But now they're finding out, like keepers, they keep them more naturalistic or in giant enclosures. Find like particularly the crested geckos. This is where it came from. The thought that the first time I heard of it was they were talking about crested geckos that would go out on thin branches and sleep hanging upside down, like on the
Yes.
thinnest branch they can. And the thought process is that they do this in nature, obviously. So this is their instinct. So they do this. Have a good night, Aftec. Sorry, we're talking about spiders for like 20 minutes. But this is tied in, I swear to God. So they hang from that to be out on thinner branches than the leeches that prey on them can
that would break the
get out
branch,
on.
right?
Yeah,
Oh, I
so the
see.
leeches
Yeah,
can't get them, but they get the sunlight that they need. So there's cresties should have access to some UVB as well, even though they're nocturnal.
100%. All of them should.
They will sit out in an area where they have it, at least from time to time.
Yeah, and I try to tell people that too. Like animals on the forest floor, or like if they're fossorial, terrestrial, if you don't think that like they aren't regulating some amount of UVB, you're crazy. Like of course they are. They all are, right? It's just like, unless they live in caves or whatever. But like
the blind cave tetra or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're not talking about different animals, but like they all should. And then like you should allow them to be able to regulate how much they are exposed to, right? But that's amazing, and that makes sense. I've noticed on those lizards too, those cresties, they've got like that flat portion on the tip of the bottom of the tail, and
that's
like
another, like they can grab stuff with.
Yeah, it's a little adaptation. That makes a lot of sense now that they would do that.
Yep, their little breakaway tail. If any in the wild have it after they're 6 months old, but it is like one of the toe. Pads.
It's like a little flat pad.
Yep, and it's been known to grip. Like it has a grip to it too.
Well, you feel it when you hold them. Yeah, like I've felt it. Yeah.
I love when they're about to jump, when you hold them and their toes curl up, and you're like, "Oh no, hold still."
Yeah,
because they're getting their toe pads off, so they
You're
can
right.
go.
Yep.
Mine
so cool.
is not. I think actually mine did. She passed, or he passed, just a couple days ago actually. So his cage is still up, and the roaches. Yeah, he had 2 hisser tank mates who are enjoying him now. Circle of life.
Hey, we recycle everything around here, man. I get it. You have to.
I mean, I was going to put him with isopods. I was going to put him with my Hoffs.
Right.
So, he was a rescue. So I don't know how old he was when I got him, and he was not kept well, like a chain smoker house.
Gotcha.
So I'm sure his lungs weren't in the best shape. But he lived a good life here, even though he escaped at one point for like 3 weeks. And I was just like,
wow.
I came to terms with, I was like, he's dead somewhere in the walls, or he's dead. I have 2 cats. I'm like, there's no way he lived 3 weeks. I still left the sink on. I left the sink on down here dripping constantly because I was like, he'll be able to get to it or whatever. So the one morning I'm in the shower and my wife is like, she came in on me like, "Hey, is this yours?" And she has him in her hand. And I was like, "What did you do? Like, how did?" And he was totally skinny, totally dehydrated. Well, I guess my cats, one of the cats had him on the floor, and every time he'd move, the cat would just put a paw on him again. And you hear that. Everyone who heard that just now is like, "Oh my God, he had to be in such bad shape. He probably lost a leg."
I think I lost you.
Not a scratch on him. But did you lose me? Are you crapped out on me?
One of our internets is going down. Oh, there you are.
Mine I can see. I can see mine.
Was that you or
me?
me?
When it's me.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't get the warning, but I thought it might be me.
Then.
So yes, the cat's got him.
Nope.
Did you lose me again?
Oh.
It's funny because we can hear him.
No, I see. It's just a little slow.
Can you guys hear me, or can you hear Ryan?
Let's see if I can.
All 4 of you that are watching.
Well, there it goes.
Better?
A little glitchy.
Okay.
Comes and goes.
It's normally around the hour mark. But yeah, he didn't have a mark on him.
Yeah.
But the cats saved him. I don't know how much longer he would have lasted.
Right.
Oh, nobody's having an issue with it on their
end.
Right. Audience is having a good time with it. So
okay, must just be me. I am in a basement, so it's probably me.
Me too.
More than likely. I was gonna say you're in a basement too.
Yeah, my studio. I love this
like
space.
it, man.
I'm gonna have a jungle here to the left pretty soon, and then racks here, and it'll be just this great area where I can just sit in this throne and observe
Yes, and
my
survey.
kingdom. I can't
I'm
wait.
all about it, man.
I can't wait. So
Yeah, you have to show me.
it'll be a lot of videos. There'll be a lot of build videos on the channel. So
Good.
Good. I'm using almost 100% free stuff that I either had laying around or found in the garbage or whatever.
Right on.
You know, it was packaging for something.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like I think the whole thing, it's a 100-gallon build. It's going to cost me like $200 total for all the equipment and everything.
Wow,
So
that's pretty good,
yeah,
man.
most of that's on lights. So
Right,
most of
right.
that's lighting.
Yeah,
So yeah, I did really, really well. So that'll be fun to see too, like upcycling, you know.
Heck yeah.
I put a couple tarantulas in that setup. Will be good.
Sweet. I like that. Yeah. When you need your next one, you let me know.
I will. Actually, you'll be the guy I come to. So
Good.
I don't know that I'll get one while this one is still alive because
no rush.
You know, she's my jam.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a one spider man.
I get it.
Monogamous.
I think that's sweet. I like that.
I have some jumpers that are breeding down here.
Oh yes, some wild in situ jumpers.
There's one that lives on my desk. So
okay.
My favorite kind of spider in the world. I just, for something that small to be able to look back at you and you know it's judging you.
Yes, there's something more going on there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like looking at you like, why aren't you jumping on food right now? You suck. So
I say this all the time. Like, we should be very thankful that those animals are not like the size of chipmunks or squirrels, because they would undoubtedly be like the dominant species on the planet if they were that size. Like
jumping
spiders. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they were the size, even the size of chipmunks, they would pose a real problem. You know?
Yeah, I feel like they would organize, like, just to get that extra brain capacity. They would organize. They would out math us, like the calculations they make in their head. There's that species that, like, the Pandora. I think it's a Pandora spider. It moves kind of like a robot, and it looks like a wind-up toy when it moves, and then it'll go to another spider's web, and it'll figure out what kind of spider it is and whether it's a male or female by the web, and like pick at the web either to feel like prey or a mate, anything to get that spider to come check them out. And then it murders that spider and eats it.
That is incredible. Yeah,
and it can do like 35 different tunes on the web of the spiders in its area. I got to find it. If anybody knows.
Yeah, I'd be very interested.
Sorry, Don, we barely talked about tarantulas. I thought we'd get a lot more out of Old World versus New World. But it turns out they're very similar.
Yeah, I mean,
one has butt hairs and one has venom. That's pretty much what I learned.
That's pretty much that.
That's the difference. And apparently Old World are easier to work with. So
we
still don't know why.
According to Ryan at Martial Arachnids, they're easier to work with.
We still don't know specifically why. So specifically, why are they? That'll be our closer.
Why are they easier to work with?
Why, in your opinion, are Old World tarantulas easier to work with than are preferable? Over Old World or New World.
Okay. Yeah. So again, this is all going to come down to understanding the natural history of the spider, what it's going to do, what it wants to do, how it wants to behave, and like what natural predators it has, blah, blah, blah. And on top of that too, they lack those urticating hairs, right? So it makes daily maintenance of that spider easier because you're not exposed to those hairs. Those hairs are not the immediate reaction. The animal is going to run and hide, or worst case will give you a threat posture, in which case you just respect the animal and walk away. But again, that is so rare. Giving the animal the space that it needs to retreat to, whether that be a hollow or appropriate substrate depth, the right textures, right, that kind of correspond to where the animal lives. In our experience, providing those animals, which you should do New World, Old World, regardless of what you're working with, you should provide them with as accurate natural history husbandry as possible. And when you do that, the animals are just much easier to navigate. Their behavior is much more predictable and favorable in terms of providing daily care. And so, like I said, they're all faster than you. You don't want to be bitten by any of them. So understanding that and just acknowledging that, I think you'd be much better off. So that's why
the hairs.
The hairs are the big one.
anti-New World spider thought process.
Yeah, with the urticating setae that go airborne, because the
Eradicating
avicularians,
setae.
setae. They're not. It's not technically hair. It's setae, but the hairs that the avicularia species have, which they're not airborne. They just kind of drop them in the surroundings or rub them against something. Those are obviously a lot more tolerable, but the hairs can really
get
pose
up in your eyes or your face or something.
Yeah, guys, that is nothing to be underestimated. Those can pose a
I wonder if
health
there'd be a
problem.
way. I'm trying to think of a way to try to mitigate that without upsetting the spider, because all my thoughts involve airflow, and all that airflow would upset the spider more. Do you know what I mean? Like,
front opening, definitely helps, right? Because again, you're not ripping the roof. Like, that is such an unnatural thing to have air kind of come
that
in.
air pressure and change and all of that movement would just be horrifying. Yeah.
Come at them from the front and open doors slowly. Obviously, usually just the vibration of you going to open the door is enough to send the animal back into its retreat, right? So once it's in its retreat, the animal's not going to flick the hairs. It's not going to that response is not going to happen, right? So that comes back to giving them what they need. Give them somewhere to go. That's not, I have to react. You know what I mean? Like, I'm skipped, right? So that's all it comes down to. Guys, I'm going to say right now, I've never been hit with those urticating hairs. I've never had to experience it. I see it sometimes, and it's annoying. And I
just see you and running out of the room.
Well, yeah. Well, I close the door and I'm like, well, we'll come back tomorrow. I don't deal with it. I don't like it. But I've never had to deal with it. I just know the potential risks, right? So, that's why I prefer the old world species to the new world. And I think
that's funny that's like, it's not funny. It makes sense. That's more dangerous than,
to me,
the venom mostly that you would get. Because you're not going to get. This is funny. We've got more viewers than we've had the whole video, and we're about to shut it down.
Well, good. Well, research your old world. I think they're better. I think they're better to work with. But
research your spider anyway, guys, and give it. I'm on board 100% with Ryan. This is how I found approached Ryan was from a video that he did, and I was more than excited to have him come on. But basically, it was an hour video that he did saying the same thing for that hour. It was going over the benefits of research the animal and get it what it is used to in the wild, what it's evolved to experience. So you're going to see so much better activity and like natural activity and enrichment for the animal. It's going to be so much better for them. And you're not going to run into problems.
All of the stereotypes and all of the, what you see online about, oh, they're dangerous, they're fast, they've all got attitudes. Well, they can, but it's so simple to just mitigate that. Like, the animals don't do that if you give them what they need. So,
well, and you're saying be aware of them too, because you see the spider that's like, you can tell when they're ready to bolt or they're like thinking about making a move, and you just go, oh, I'll come back later. Like, you need to turn around or settle down or whatever. You need to be facing the bottom instead of
you're right,
toes on the door.
Exactly. Yeah. If they don't, when I open that and they don't immediately retreat, which they should do, but if they don't, then you kind of, that's like, you're okay. We're no longer here. We're here. Right. And then you make that decision. Do we want to hand you a prey item? Do we want to mist you directly? Like, what do we want to do here? But not coming at them from above helps tremendously. I almost guarantee that will solve 98% of problems. So that people who report having difficulties with old world animals, I bet that would solve your problem.
Is a sunburst, I know these are generic names, and this is like a 30-year-old name, but a sunburst baboon spider.
I don't even know.
Does that sound familiar?
No.
But a baboon spider, like,
Yeah, those are African species.
Yep. So those are old world.
Yep.
So we had this sunburst. It was a bright yellow baboon spider. It was about this big, so it was young. In like one of those Beanie Baby container things that you see so many spiders in.
Mm-hmm.
It was in one of those. It was at a pet store. I worked at a Petland, home of the puppy mill.
Yes.
Not to talk shit about them on the internet 35 years later, but puppy mill.
Yes.
If you want a puppy with bone cancer, that's where you go to shop for it.
Horrendous.
Little depressing ending to the show. But we had sunburst, and this guy wanted to see it, and it was, it was tucked away, and it's a little stressed out, like nobody's business, because it's just in this thing on a shelf, kids dinging at it all day. Anyway, he wanted to come out, so I never really dealt with tarantulas at all in my life, just observed them, and I thought this was a good idea. So I opened the lid, and it didn't move. So I went, and it ran up the side like lightning and onto the floor, and ran right onto this guy's shoe, like almost right at that space between your shoe and your sock. Like it was on top of his shoe. And so I look at it, and it's like this was in, the late 90s. So this was a $70 spider. So in today's economy, like $12,000, I think is the difference. Something like that. Yeah. So I was like, I'm fired if I don't care. If something happens to the spider, I'm straight up fired, or I have to put the body back in here so they think something happened to it.
Right.
So I had the container, so I had the lid in the container in my hand, and I tapped the guy who's on his foot. He doesn't know it's on his foot.
Wow.
And I'm like, hey, what is that, a lizard on the ceiling? And he looks up, and I dove down and scooped it in one motion, and didn't damage the spider, just like lightly damaged the guy's shoe. And he was like, what the hell? And I was like, oh, you had this spider on your shoe.
Wow, that's slick.
So no one was hurt in the process, but my heart rate, I was way smarter catching the spider than I was displaying the spider.
But you learned something valuable, right? You learned something like, okay, that can happen very easily and faster than you can react, for sure.
It was lightning, and it was out and on the floor. It was just falling, and I saw it fall more than I saw it come out. You know what
Falling
I mean?
on to the individual shoe probably saved it, because a lot of times when those animals fall from like greater than 3 feet, sometimes they can pop, So
it landed on the floor and ran to his shoe.
Oh, it ran to his shoe. Wow. Wow.
I honestly think it was just so light that it. Yeah. Because it was small, and it was smaller. All the hairy, so I think it kind of caught it.
Right.
That's my now, but it was bad.
Yeah.
An OBT? What's an OBT?
So Tarantulas marinus, I believe, is the Latin name. That's why. After we started talking, I figured you meant OBT, but I don't know common names.
I don't know. They didn't have. It was all common names then.
Yep.
Anybody who knew the Latin was like a super nerd back then.
Yeah,
so,
lame. You're lame.
They were like entomologists. Like they were into it. Now I trust you guys with the Latin. I just go, what is it called? A curly what? I'm gonna call it a curly thing, and that's as far as I'm gonna go.
I know we gotta be better about common names, Jess and I. She knows that you know them better than I do. Jess finally came out.
I'm a pro now. I'll make some up for you. Just let me know what you need.
Please. Yeah.
I'll make some up. They'll be marketable. They'll be accurate. Okay. Nobody will be named a yellow zebra. It'll be great. Watch that episode.
Let's do
but guys, the point I was trying to get back to was that spiders, tarantula keepers, you guys have it pretty good actually compared to ice spot keepers, because you have the information on where the spider's from. It's not like a secret. There's not like some villager that's collecting this species and making money on it that won't tell you where it's from, where it was collected, so you can get an idea of what its habitat was like, right?
Yes.
There's no documentaries. There's no guy going out in the wild right now doing documentaries, which Ben Quintana's, if you're watching, we're counting on you. But you have that benefit, so use it. If you're a tarantula keeper or prospective, use that information, like reach out to lovetarantulas.com or Marshall Arachnids. So reach out and find that information.
Google the climate, research like tourist sites, and like most of our information that we find is honestly, you can find it just by researching like that geographical area and like tourist photos. People who don't even know what they're taking pictures of usually take pictures of the animals in situ, so just like finding place for like travel destination websites and stuff like that. Like the people don't even know what they're looking at, but like really they post them online because they're excited about their vacation. But so if you do a little bit more digging, if you can't find it just by searching the names, that's how you can find a lot of things that way. Just like tourist destination websites and shit like that.
That's awesome. That's even easier.
Yep.
So get on expedia.com. Find we'll get them to charge for spider location information.
Yeah.
So we should build an app.
Yeah, man, that'd be really cool.
Dude.
I don't know who'd use it. I mean, I would. I think it'd be amazing. But
If there's video games about being an ant, there's
yeah,
like 5 different ones.
you're right. Yeah,
I think we could figure it out. So,
yeah,
yeah, Tarantula Collective is dope. There's a lot of good resources out there, guys. And a lot of, again, different things work for different people. So
that's the other thing too. Like,
nobody knows everything.
Yes, and what we try to say is like every keeper's environment is going to be different from the next, which is going to change your husbandry approach to the spider. So like what we're always saying is find where the animal's from, make that your parameters, and then do what you have to do to reach those parameters. It's not about where you are, it's about where the animal's from, and the way you go about meeting those parameters will be different from me, will be different from Josh, will be different from Tarantula Collective, everyone, right?
Yeah.
So, and that goes for all animals, really, all captive animals. So keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind, guys. And that's where we're going to end it. That's great advice.
Sweet.
That's a great ender. If you want to stick around, we can talk afterwards. Or if you're going to bed, that's fine too.
I am going to go to bed, but well, let's do a few minutes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to pop you out. I'm going to do my ending.
Okay.
And then I'll be right back. Oh, thanks for what?
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, guys.
That's all I wanted to hear from Ryan. He's out. He's out. I know this got on a huge tangent, guys, but I had a lot of fun. I hope you learned something about spiders, tarantulas specifically. I was hoping that I could use this other guy as a lychee connection. So we're still looking for a lychee person to nail down and talk about lychees. Guys, we have our Instagram. It's just original IsoBuddies because some bastard stole IsoBuddies before I could get it. And they have basically powder blues on their channel. If it's you and you're a patron, you're not a bastard. I love you. If it's not you and you're watching this and you're not yet a patron, you owe me. So you should be a Patreon. That said, we have a Patreon. You can get on board with that for just $1 or whatever you want. Really, give what you want. But $1 is the minimum, which is really cheap. If you like what we do and want to support it or help out, we have a lot of things planned in the future so that we can do bigger and better things. Let's see. I think that's it, guys. I hope you had a good Valentine's Day. Thanks for sharing some of it with me. I hope you enjoyed the woke peanut M&Ms. There's different kinds, but I want to support these upside down M&M girls. I don't know how one looks more obese than the other. They're round, but I'm not that guy. So if you haven't seen the drama with the woke M&Ms, get into it. It's really funny. So guys, I hope you had a good time. I did. I learned a lot, not necessarily about tarantulas, but I learned a lot today. And if you know where the mastodons are going to be, put it in the IsoBuddies channel or put it in the comments here. Leave a comment. I love the comments. So I will talk to you guys later. And next week, honestly, I don't remember who's on next week, but we have a good show planned. So no, I don't want to say it's somebody that it's not, but I'll put something up soon. We'll talk to you guys next week. I love you guys. Have a good one.